Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights, Dueling Questions episode with Brian. When we have dueling questions, I do not control the narrative. I can control what I want to ask, and I get interesting answers back. But thanks to sponsors, Heritage Auctions, Huggins Scott Auctions, Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Burbank Sports Cards, ComC.com, and Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication. Brian, again, very entrepreneurial, but his collecting goes back from when he was a kid, and I was apparently part of his childhood in the sense of the magazines and the price guides. So enjoyable to make a new friend, and the dueling questions, you get a chance to hear what's of importance to the person I'm talking to. So thanks, Brian, for sharing your story, and here it is for everyone's listening pleasure.
Do you still enjoy the cards after all these years?
Yeah. My goal is to sell 1% a month. And I'm falling woefully short of that goal, but who's going to crack the whip on me? I'm enjoying the hobby as a hobbyist, which means I'll buy and sell and trade a little bit. I'm pretty retired, but I have a lot of cards and I need to be responsible about them. And when people come over, I have a card room that people can see.
People in my family have said, Brian, are you sure you really want to start a bit of your career into the card space? Because you might fall out of love with the hobby if you're too close to it for too long. Okay. And that's why it's nice to ask you.
I know, but now it is a challenge to go from a hobby, which it was for me as a kid and as a young person and as a dealer, and then to be a publisher and an entrepreneur. And I wound up being a CEO, which I didn't like being a CEO. I wanted to be hands-on with the cards. So since I've sold the company, now I'm a free agent. I can do whatever I want to.
Yeah.
I enjoy solving problems, and that's the kind of CEO I was. But I found out that it's more fun to solve other people's problems than your own. In fact, when you're the CEO, the only problems that come across your desk are the tough ones that the people that you hired can't figure out.
You're so right about that. The CEO stuff, not
regularly. But I still enjoyed it, and I am turning it back into a hobby. It's really different because I'm not OCD, but I am compulsive. Like you, if I get started on a set, I'm going to want to complete it. Yep. And so I've revamped all my stuff to alphabetical. No complete sets. I just collect certain players. I keep them in boxes that are alphabetized.
You ever open packs still? Or about
in my podcast, I'll do some pack opening episodes. Sometimes I'll get boxes from the card companies. I won a lot from Huggins and Scott. It's an assortment of blasters. And I'm just going to open them not on camera, but on microphone. A lot is lost when you can't see the cards, but I can describe it's no big secret as a math guy. Most boxes are going to be disappointing.
Yep.
It's that one or two that I'm going to get that are going to be exciting that either will make up for it or will just give me a lot of joy. Plus, there's fun just opening the boxes anyway. So I got a whole bunch of them coming, and I'll figure out a way to do a podcast around that. Again, not so much as a business, but as sharing my experience. So what you're doing is you're sharing your experience.
That's it.
And how you're enjoying the hobby. And I'm doing that too. I'm just doing it in a different way. Okay, my turn for you. I think you're really in the moment when you're doing your work. And I think that's really important. But being the analytical person I am, I'm wondering, where are you going to be and what are you going to be doing different in 5 years? Because unlike your other ventures, it seems like you feel like the card thing has your name on it, not the name of a company. I'm not talking about your security and protection and display. I'm talking about just your media presence. I think you personally enjoy that. So what's it going to be like in 5 years? Are you going to be doing more, less, bigger, better, same, different?
Great question.
That's my question.
I can't help myself. I'm a big thinker. I take on things that people say you can't do, and I go and do those things. So there's a bit of a contrarian to me. If somebody says, you can't go make a television show in China, I go and spend a year and a half living in China to go make it happen. Make some big deals and contracts happen that people said were impossible. With where I'm going, I have to work with people I love, and I have to be working on projects that I feel inspired by. I've had opportunities to take on gigs throughout my whole life that would have paid me a significant amount more money, but I've gone the path less taken and trodden because I want to do things that I find interesting and fun. So I see in the next 5 years, if everything goes well, I'm hoping to return to media and entertainment. I want to make sports cards and sports and the players and everything about that. I plan on making television shows and movies. I have a great idea for a movie that involves kind of old school 1870s, the foundations of baseball. I think it would make a fantastic movie filmed in kind of the Zack Snyder stylized handlebar mustaches, old clothes, the Cincinnati Red stockings, the white stockings, and the Americans going out to Egypt and playing baseball over there. I think there's some stunning stories of like Civil War going growing into where Babe Ruth is actually, he's the new guy. And all these amazing things have happened with Christy Mathewson and Honus Wagner and all the other guys, Ty Cobb or whatever. I still plan on getting into movies and television and essentially merging everything I'm doing right now with the kind of protection and display business and what I'm doing on my personal kind of quests as a content maker. I am working on a lot of projects that are much larger in scale and scope and require more of the significant dollar injections, like the 8 figures into these media projects, so that if I'm going to do a television show or a movie, it's going to be on a massive scale and be more of something that's going to be seen by a worldwide audience that will be bringing people in across lots of different cultures and people. So 5 years from now, I hope I've produced my baseball movie. I hope I've made a couple of television series. And I hope I continually am traveling around the world, going to stadiums from South America to stadiums across Europe and even stadiums in Asia, and trying to kind of share the love of sports cards and sports, and using that as a way to tell human stories and bond people. That's what I'm really hoping to be doing.
A follow-up question: who's going to play the role of me?
Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt. I can't decide which one.
We'll see about that.
That's a great question. Who do you think would play you?
I don't know, but I'll take Brad Pitt. Yeah, I think that's.
There we go.
I'll ask my wife. But Rob Veras talks about high-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
The low-hanging fruit, everybody wants to do the easy road. And if you're taking the road less traveled, that's great, Brian. Okay, your question for me.
Yeah. So I want to know, you've got sports cards and so entrenched in the hobby, and your name is synonymous with sports cards. I would love to know about your bucket list outside of the sports cards. Are you a guy who wants to travel to Europe, spend the summer hanging out on the beaches of the French Riviera? Like, what's at the top of your bucket list that you must do that people might even find surprising with your background and who you are? Essentially, what haven't you done that you really want to do in this life?
That's a terrible question, because I'm going to sound stupid of saying there's really not much. I've been very blessed, but I will say this: the thought of taking a summer off and going somewhere would be imprisoning for me. I love where I am. I love my wife. I love where we live. I only want to take short trips.
Yeah.
I have a daily podcast anyway. I feel like I'm freed up to do that now. If I were to go to Europe for the summer, I'd be miserable for 2 weeks. But
I asked Rob Dreers 6 months ago. I said, "Hey, if I were to pay you to fly out to open some packs with me, and in Nashville, Tennessee, in so many months, would you want to do it?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, if you're going to bring me out." So I would ask the same question to you: if I was to open some packs at like the Eiffel Tower, and I give you an all-expense trip to come and do your podcast there, is that something you would do?
No offense, Brian, but probably not.
There we go.
But nothing to do with you. And I'm even questioning Rob Veras that he would do that as well. What Rob would want to do, if he knew you better and you knew him better, would be to say, "It's a deal. You come here." He's very territorial about promoting his.
This is true. He's Captain Pirrip.
He's got a Taj Mahal there. So to go somewhere else, that's not his shtick, even though I've spent a lot of time with him at the National just a little while ago. But so, no, I've been to the Eiffel Tower, and I'm sure you'd be a great travel guy, but I actually think I have a gift for hosting. So I do a lot of hosting. I do a lot of dinners and breakfasts and lunches here. I have a back house, a boardroom, a man cave where I'll have dinners mostly for guys. Some have been for the hobby guys, but invitation only. And so I'd rather bring people to me than me go out of town. I don't know if that's the Japan and Okinawa kind of connection of thinking, I've seen the world. I've seen it when Mom and Dad were moving. I didn't want to move. I lived in 18 houses in my first 18 years. So I've traveled enough, but short travel, my wife and I both really enjoy that. So we'll take a long weekend lots of times, and it's not very disruptive for our life. But we have friends that go away for the summer, and we don't want to go away for the summer. We want to take a few trips here and there, but I love my life as it is. I'm not thinking I want to get away. I love my life.
Yeah, your bucket list is what you are doing right now. I love that you have this peace of mind of living the life that you have chosen. It's such a rare thing. So many people have things they want or to aspire to or that they don't have. And I love that you're living the life that you want, which is beautiful.
Brian, my pro bono consulting in many cases is helping people become more self-aware. I'm not a counselor, but I'm going to ask some questions to somebody that has a business that's stalled out or some other thing, because some of them are nonprofits, some of them are companies, some are just men in transition, some are women too, and they've tried things, but they're not sure what to try. And I said, "Have you ever thought about this?" They said, "No." I said, "Well, then you haven't tried everything." And so I need to do the same thing for myself. But I think I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
I am in a good place. So I don't want to go to the Eiffel Tower. I've been to the Eiffel Tower and to the Jules Verne restaurant. It's just fabulous.
Awesome.
The man in the house of cards. The man